I'd worked in heavy industry from the time of leaving school, like steelworks, aluminium works. And then in the arse end of the 70s, when Thatcher got voted in,
Yeah.
we fucked off to Israel to work on a kibbutz, thinking, oh, this is, she's so right wing, it'll come to his senses, she'll be gone in 5 minutes, we'll stay out here for a couple of months. And we did about 6 months out there. So when I came back, I was totally out of work, and Ira's brother was an engineering manager in the north, and so he managed to get me in. I was one of the last intakes.
All right.
Before the industry started to decline. So that's how I got into the industry, but it was late in life, like, I was well into my 30s. Because my grandfather, on my father's side of the family, died at, I think it was 47, of dust. But he'd been bedridden for quite a few years before that, so it had ruined his life. So all of his sons, of which there were 3, my father and his 2 brothers, were kept out of the mining industry, and they all diligently kept their children out of the mining industry. It was only by accident that I sort of went in. But as I say, with the demise of the industry, I'm glad I did, because it's sort of, I didn't get a tourist eye view of it. I've been down there, man, and I know what this Swiss cheese of a country is like. I made some of the fucking holes. So, like, I've seen me where you stop for your lunch break. I say lunch break, it'd be whatever time. But you stop for a break, open your lunch box, take out a white sandwich, and by the time you get it in your mouth, it's grey. White bread with ham in it, like it's grey bread with ham in it. Where is that dusty?
Oh my god. And
that's a massive danger as well. That's as dangerous as the gas, because it's an explosive mixture, like, that's, which is why you weren't allowed to have wristwatch, electronic wristwatches or anything like that.
Oh really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. So guys will go in and build from the top of the chalk, those things that I was talking about extracting. They'll build, like a Jenga thing where you put 2 that way and 2 that way, and these 9 by 9 4-foot long blocks to pack up and then hold up, sort of boulders so they can't fall down and interrupt the flow of work. And then come down and carry on, think nothing of it, like,
wow.
Going up in these bloody holes. So like me working in an atmosphere that somebody says, oh, stop doing that, the atmosphere is really explosive, isn't really as terrifying as somebody coolly standing there with a half-done boulder teetering on the brink of collapsing, shouting, don't pass me some of these fucking blocks a bit quick, like this thing looks like it's gonna go, no, like, and they build up a Jenga pyramid and hold it up.
Oh my god.
It's not you feeling brave about it, it's just, this is what's happening, like, and the first couple of times when you start to hear things creaking, everything has stopped because you're having a sandwich and you're cracked and bump, and you think, what was that like, and nobody else had got anything like. Somebody said, hey, what have you got in your flask, that's nothing. Don't you get that fucking timber cracking? Up to this point when I'm in my 30s and I see Bill Titford in the lamp room collecting his lamp in the morning. Probably a bit groggy because he'd spent all fucking night, all afternoon and evening the day before drinking in Somerville Club. So he's probably badly hungover, which might have accounted a little for his response. But I said, oh, how are you, Mr. Titford? Because it was my first day after training in the North Colliery, like. And he looked at me and said, I'm fucking Bill Titford, you call a manager, mister? And he was really annoyed that I called him mister, because only the manager was called Mr. whatever in the mine, and it was, in the mine you called people by their first name, like, and I'd broken that, my first contact with the proper mine, I'd broken the golden rule of, unless he's the manager, you don't call him Mr. like you call him by his first name. Dale Shaft. You were meeting people from, and then from Markham, the Markham Colliery, you were meeting people from other collieries that you hadn't gone to the same school as, or grown up on the same housing estate as, or even if I'm from the suburb, there might be blokes my age that I would have known because I've been involved in ruckuses with or altercations with because they were pant boys, you know what I mean? And it was almost like a rival football team. But that would all end then because we both worked in the north and but as I say, that connection ended when they turned it a bit into the super pit. But apart from that, yeah, the connection of being from that village, you know, and knowing your father and knowing your mother and virtually knowing all about you and your business, like, was all. So the plan was that my plan, man, I was just, I'm up for that, boys.
Yeah, joining the strikes.
We were going to come through the trees and rush down, because there's an access point into the pit on North Road underneath the railway, so they went through and the police would all mass there, thinking that was the weak point. That was the weak point for them, getting this minibus with about 4 or 5 fucking miners in it into the pit, just a token effort, just to put on the news like another pit is, anyway. So we thought we'd get around that by sneaking around the back, as I say we, but I use the term loosely, and rush to blockade the side where they get, to trap them underneath the fucking railway and frighten the shits, just to have a sort of mental victory and frighten the shit out of the scabs in the van, like psychological victory. And, so we burst through the trees past these coppers, and the coppers had Alsatians, and if you can imagine, the coppers got the dog, the Alsatian, which as they were running past him, I could see this big hairy ass fucking dog up on his hind legs, and the guy's got it by the collar, and I run out of the trees past him, heading for down over there. I glance across and see him fucking going for it. You hear this dog barking, thinking he's not gonna fucking go like a running. Look over my shoulder, he's let go of the dog and it's running. Like you're saying, you can see that dog run at you. And I fucking going at it, waiting for the impact. I didn't realise at the time he's got this sort of wrist thing. There's like a long webbing strap to the collar, so there's about 8 foot of lead or something. I don't know if you've seen it when they're searching your lab on it. It was one of them sorts of things. So I got all this psychological trauma going on, like thinking about fucking 4 stone of Alsatians about to knock me down and trying to rip my head off from behind, like. But when I eventually got the guts to look around to see how close I am to impact, because I'm thinking, I don't want to look. I can see it on the end of this long leash, like, which took all the sting out of me before I actually got to. We didn't succeed anyway. There was numbers of police there. And had us all. But yeah, but it was great. There was terrible things happened. I got involved in a thing where we had a training is just up over there, and there was a guy in training who was going back and forth to work. They were guarding his house, loosely guarding the back of the house. So the plan that we had, somebody'd found somewhere out walking their dog, which people did lots of because they weren't in work, walking his dog. He'd come across a dead sheep, which you find like in this area, because the sheep farming area. So we came up with the idea, we'd decapitate this sheep, sneak on the back of his house, somebody'd crawl up into his garden and throw this sheep through the window. Like I say again, psychological warfare, like it's not going to stop him going to work, but it's going to disrupt him. And I got the task of throwing it through, like, and I slept late, so I fucking literally, I got there on time, but I ran from here, down over the bank, in up through those trees, and you can go around the path then, into the back of the train, and so like a cross-country run, do you know what I mean? And I can't remember what happened after the throw.
Was it a good shot?
But I was in no fit state to run, so it couldn't have been that devastating an effect. I don't think it sort of inspired inspired any big retribution from the police. But there was all sorts of imaginative goings on, like, and even after I joined, it was joined up with Oakdale, we were still in the same workings. There was that thing where they were from the same village area, like, you all went to the same secondary modern schools and stuff, so that thing was there, as an undercurrent. And then you had not only that shared background of sort of being from the same location, then you had, once you were down the shaft, you were facing basically the same adversities, you know what I mean? So that intensified the being together feeling, I got your back. But it was, I got your back in a funny way. Like, I remember there's a guy lives up in Aberdeenis. He had a nasty bump, and we were all quite keen to get on stretcher duty, because it meant you'd go at the pit early, like have an early bath, and this guy couldn't be carried. Well, he's led in a neck brace on this stretcher with what's the party gas now? Nitrous oxide. So he's got that in a mask, and he's braced, and because it's a neck injury, they don't let him move until they got him up there. And the shaft is like, in Oakdale it was fucking, I don't know, it might have been about a half-mile deep. So you've got water coming in, and it's leaky. It's almost like a continuous fucking monsoon in the shaft. So when you're in the cage, you can hear the pitter-patter of this water on the roof all the time. There's certain holes in the cage with welding and rust, and that drips through. So once they got him on the bonds to go out, they're holding the stretcher between us, so that one of the main drips coming through was at him straight in the forehead, and he said, "You bastards, if my neck ain't broken, I'm having a lot of him." Because he was a big bloke, like, he was only 6'2", and massive chap. He would have hit me, he would laughing like bastards and holding it steady. So Japanese water trouser. I can't remember what his nickname was now. I think he was fine, but regardless, I think it was. Once you're down there, you're all in the same shithole, like,
Yeah. I suppose so, yeah.
Sorry, man.
No, it's alright.
It's quite. As I say, I'm glad I did, because get to go do mine, like, because of that thing,